Good morning. Happy Thursday to everybody. I just wanted to post a quick video. I don't know if you were, well, I'm sure you're aware of it by now, that a huge cargo ship apparently lost control of itself and crashed into a bridge abutment outside of Baltimore. There's a bridge across the Patapsco River, Interstate 695, the eastern part of it, and it goes around the eastern side of Baltimore over to Dundalk, and the whole bridge came crashing down. It's available on the internet, and of course everybody wants to go down the rabbit hole and say it was a conspiracy and the pilot was Ukrainian and this and that. Well, you know what? You can take that or leave it. Maybe there is a little bit of hinky stuff going on. Personally, I watched it, and I don't know why they didn't have tugboats to help maneuver it out of there and get it going. But the crew did report a mayday, and the police were able to block traffic on both sides of the bridge. Otherwise, the death toll would have been much higher. When that thing hit, that came down within seconds. I've had people tell me that, oh, I saw an explosion up at the top. I don't know. It looked to me, from what I could tell, that there were power lines up on the top of the bridge, and when they were severed, there was sparks that flew. I don't think it was an explosion. And if you were going to use an explosion on the bridge, you wouldn't do it up at the top like that. You would do it on the bottom. So let the tinfoil hat people do what they want. I don't know. We need time to investigate it. Apparently that ship was involved with hitting something in Belgium. Maybe there was some mechanical issues on the ship. I don't really know who oversees anything like that. But that port is massively busy. I sailed out of Baltimore on a cruise ship about 10 years ago, and that whole port area is very busy. The biggest impediment is probably the US 50, what's called the Bay Bridge, that goes from Annapolis to the eastern shore. When the ships come down out of there and they sail out into the Chesapeake, they have to be able to clear that bridge. Carnival only has 2 ships that are small enough to go under there. The bigger ships sail out of, I think, Tampa, Charleston, Miami, New York, and whatnot, where they don't have to fit under that bridge. But the 695 bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge that was destroyed, was the primary route for truckers carrying hazardous material, because they can't go through the Fort McHenry Tunnel or the Harbor Tunnel. So now if you have a hazardous material load, you're going to have to take 695 around the west side of Baltimore, over around, I guess, Towson, and you come up near Timonium and either go up 83 into Pennsylvania or stay on 695 from down near Arbutus on the bottom and go all the way around to, I guess, near White Marsh, and then get on 95 north. So you would avoid the toll in Baltimore, but that's a long way. It's probably going to add 40 minutes to your trip, because it is a longer stretch around the west side. 695 was the beltway around Baltimore, just like 495 is the beltway around D.C. They said there were only 6 lives lost. Apparently they were construction workers filling potholes on there. If they hadn't been able to block traffic on both sides, there would have been more people who died. And it's incalculable how many people would have died if that ship would have ran into that bridge abutment during rush hour. If that had been 4 or 5 in the afternoon, there'd be hundreds dead. You know, some people are speculating that this is some kind of action by a foreign government, or I don't know. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just not going to do that. But there are a lot of things that are kind of weird. If you look at the video of the ship, it appears to have, it lost power, and then it regained power, and then it lost power again, and you see all this black smoke pouring out of the top of the ship. Now, was that because it was on fire? Was it unburned diesel fuel? Were they trying to reverse the engines? I don't know. They say that they could have dropped the anchor and stopped it, and it was only moving 8 knots. But imagine the weight on that thing. They had probably 2,000 or 3,000 of those cargo things on there, and it hit, even at that speed, it's just so much mass. It's heavier than a train. You just can't stop it on a dime. But nevertheless, when it hit, pieces of the bridge fell down on it. The bridge also fell down in the water. So now all those no ships can go in or out of that port until they clear that wreckage out of there, because then they'll get stuck. The whole thing is a big hot mess. And my heart goes out to the people who died and their families. It's just totally horrific. I can't imagine what would have happened if that would have been during rush hour. That's just something really sad. So, I mean, the politicians are going to get up there and, you know, Joe Biden said, oh, we're going to rebuild it. We're going to use federal money. And like he just has billions of dollars in his pocket. Of course, federal money will be used. I don't know, you know, is the owner of the tanker ship, they said it was Maersk, but maybe they just chartered it. It could be owned by somebody else. They said it was registered out of Singapore. So, and that the ship was on its way to Sri Lanka. So it's really hard to tell who's to blame. I'm sure there were safety protocols that might not have been followed very well. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes them to rebuild that bridge, because it took, from what I read, it took them 5 years, and it opened in 1977. And for every day that the bridge is closed, the state of Maryland loses almost $500,000 in toll revenue, because it was a toll bridge. So the people who live up there are going to have to use the Fort McHenry Tunnel or the Harbor Tunnel. And if you're hauling hazmat, like I said, you're going to have to take 695 West. Just a tragic thing all around. You know, there's no winners in this. And people are like, oh, is this a black swan operation? Is it a false flag? Come on, people. Let's not go down that rabbit hole just yet. Does stuff look hinky? Yeah. But if it was terrorists trying to inflict damage, they would have done it during rush hour. You know, who has to gain from this? I don't know. It just shows you how vulnerable our infrastructure is. There was a bridge down in Florida that got hit, I think back in the 80s. And when they rebuilt it, they put the bridge abutments have like an island around it so that the ship would run aground before it would hit the support. It's just really sad. But I hope everybody has a good day. Be safe. And if you're around a loved one, give them an extra hug today. Because you never know. You never know when you're going to have your last day. So live every day as if it's your last. Take care.